Hello and welcome to another edition of the Are You Ready Wrestling podcast here on Newport City Radio. We're very tired in the studio, as we always are, after premium live events or pay-per-views, or from whatever side of the wrestling divide they come from. But we are back to talk about All Out. We spoke about it last week, and we're going to review it last night. Here was an electrifying night from Atlanta, Georgia. And to join me, as ever, someone who always has bad blood in the studio and isn't afraid for it to show. Curtis.
Hello.
And we have a guest with us.
We do. We have a new guest.
We have a new guest, brand new to the Are You Ready podcast here on Newport City Radio. I believe you're actually a listener as well.
Yes, I am. Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Jack.
Yes, we've got Jack with us. And we, as I mentioned, will be talking about Bad Blood today. Quick programming note, there will be no podcast next week. But
might have.
Yes, Bad Blood. We've been talking about it for a while. Hyped to the max.
The hype was massive.
Was the hype real?
I like to think so. Yeah.
Was it bad?
It was baddest.
Oh, he's using my word now. He's using my word. I can tell he's a listener. He's using my word. My word of the week.
So I just before we move into the actual cards, one of the sticking points of last week's podcast and podcasts and talk on social media more so is what should main event.
Yes.
Now, with the benefit of hindsight, we'll spoiler alert if you haven't watched Bad Blood. Turn off now if you don't want to see the results. CM Punk, Drew McLyntire opened. Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes against the Bloodline main evented. As I think you said they would last week.
Yeah.
And I know Fightful Select reported that wasn't always the plan.
No.
The plan originally, going back a couple of months ago, was for CM Punk and Drew McLyntire inside Hell in a Cell to main event.
Yeah.
However, the question I have for you now is, with the benefit of hindsight and the return of the final boss, The Rock,
yes,
albeit for 20 seconds, staring at them, Roman Reigns, as the WWE YouTube channel have said, was this the right decision? And if you were Triple H, would you have maybe swapped them around, or would you have had CM Punk Drew McLyntire main event? What were your thoughts on the eventual decision to have the Bloodline main event over CM Punk and Drew McLyntire?
I personally believe that Drew and CM Punk should have main evented, but obviously I'm not a booker, so whatever Triple H decided was, I'd say, best for business. I'd say. In your opinion,
though, should have main evented?
In my opinion, yes. It was a big main candidate for main event for me.
Is that because of kind of they've been building up to this for the past 10 months, or because of the hype around this match? Why should this main evented, in your opinion?
It felt like way longer than 10 months to me, but it should have main evented for the pure fact that it to me it would have popped the crowd massively, I think, at the end. But going with that as an opening, it was a great way to start off the pay-per-view.
The thing is, though, you've got CM Punk and Drew McLyntire opening the show.
Yeah.
There was no way any of the matches was going to beat how good that match was.
Following that, yeah.
We knew the Hell in a Cell match would be one of the best matches on the card, if not the best, and it was.
Promising to kill each other, weren't they, at one point?
Well,
yes, they were.
So, in my opinion, it shouldn't have opened. It should have main evented. But we did have.
But with the hindsight of the final boss returning, does that justify why it did open?
I mean, he is the final boss, and he wasn't the only return we had. So I can understand why they had the Bloodline as the main event, because the Bloodline story has been going on for 4+ years now. And it was quite a big thing that Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns was tag teaming for the first time ever, considering the fact that they had a 2-year storyline of Cody trying to beat Roman Reigns, which eventually did happen at WrestleMania 40. So I can understand it, but there was no way that Nia Jackson-Bayley was going to beat or be close to anywhere good as CM Punk and Drew McLyntire in the Hell in a Cell match.
I just still don't understand why they followed that with Nia and Bailey. I don't see the sort of logic behind. There probably is some reason why they did follow it that way.
But there was no way that was going to be anywhere good.
There was no match on this card that would have been able to follow Drew McIntyre and CM Punk.
I'm not going to lie.
I think we've seen that at All In when we've seen MJF and Will Ospreay. You know, that how do you follow a 5-star classic? Yes, this might not have... I did like the line from Michael Cole saying this isn't going to be a 5-star pure wrestling classic. Shout out Dave Meltzer there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's certain matches in pro wrestling where it was just impossible to follow, and that was one of them.
It was one of the greatest matches I've seen in the past 2 years in WWE. It was ever since kind of Triple H took over. It's been the best match. It's been the best storyline. So, yeah, I just don't understand it opening. Like, I know you want to set the standard high for such a big show, but having that...
set the standard high, Curtis, and then there's that.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give a word of the week for the booking.
Oh, here we go already. Word of the week.
Here we go.
The word of the week for the booking of this card, poor.
Ooh.
Mainly,
Why do you say that?
Mainly because there was no way you should have CM Punk and Drew McIntyre opening. I really don't get the logic behind it. Yes, you had the final boss return. Yes, you had another return in the Bloodline match, but that shouldn't main event. That really shouldn't, because the Rock's return, which we'll get into fully later, wasn't a proper return. He literally come out, raised his eyebrow and walked off, and then cut a promo. That was it. There was no
He didn't cut a promo live though, did he? For the people to watch in the arena.
Yeah, but it
just watched it. Then he's back to cutting his Instagram promos and X promos.
I think I would have preferred it if that. I mean, I'm not saying Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns should have opened, but I think the best option would have been for them to open and CM Punk and Drew McIntyre to close.
But then when we be sat here having the same conversation, saying how do you follow up from The Rock and the return of Jimmy Uso and Cody and Roman mid-teaming for what was, and I think I put this on the Are You Ready social media page last night, saying, I think the word I used is surreal. Because as you mentioned, the fact that they're teaming together after Cody finished his story and Roman being champion for so long, and for them to be teaming with each other against the Bloodline of all people. Wouldn't we be having these same conversations if it was the other way around?
Possibly, but I just think, obviously, the CM Punk Drew McIntyre match was 31 minutes long. It was half hour long. I still feel it is. I know a lot of people are going to have different opinions on whether it should have main evented or whether it shouldn't have main evented, but in my opinion, it should have main evented. Hell in a Cell, Bad Blood, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. It rings a bell. It should have just bloody main evented. It really should. It really, really should have. And it's annoyed me slightly it hasn't, but would it have been a different story if it did main event? Who knows?
So, yes. We've just spent 10 minutes talking about what should main events. And your word of the week here for this segment, though, Curtis, is poor booking.
Yes.
Is that the cards overall, or is it just because
just the opening
your
and the
favourite
closing?
CM Punk didn't main event? Match 1, as we've just spoken about for 10 minutes, was CM Punk against Drew McIntyre inside of Hell in a Cell.
Yes.
And after 10 months, this has pretty much started the night CM Punk returned to WWE at Survivor Series in Chicago in November, because yes, you had Seth Rollins losing his mind ringside, shouting and screaming and having to be held back by officials and some Corey Graves of the commentary team as well. But Drew McIntyre walked out the building the night CM Punk returned because CM Punk was there. You say poor booking, Curtis. I'm going to come to you first with this. But this is one of the best feuds.
I'm not saying it was poor booking overall. I'm saying
in a while.
I'm saying the poor booking would be because of it opened the show. It didn't main event the show. It should have main evented. So that's why I think it was poor, because I there's nothing not even the main event could have topped that Hell in a Cell match. Not even The Rock returning, not even Jimmy Uso returning, not even Roman and Cody teaming up. Like, I just don't see what could have beaten that. So that's why I believe the Bad Blood show, as in the card, the way the card opened and the way the card closed, was poor. That's why I'm saying it's poor booking. It was a brilliant match. The storyline has been fantastic. It's been unwordable, the storyline. And finally, this storyline, I believe, is over.
Fortunately or unfortunately, it's over?
Fortunately.
I'd say unfortunately, because it was spectacular. Every sort of spot they were doing was planned perfectly. I just don't.
I just don't.
Pretty much.
I don't see them topping anything else other than a Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood. I don't think another match would ever top that. They've in the match you've seen, they had the beads of the wristband that CM Punk wore.
Yes, I was going to come on to that a little bit later.
In pieces.
Yeah, both
in the ring.
Both promised the world to each other in terms of CM Punk said he's going to see him in hell, and if he's willing for this to be the end of Drew McIntyre, there's going to be the end of CM Punk, and promising, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Hell or high water? Basically going all in, to use an AEW term there. But yeah, two competitors didn't waste too much time before the violence began. We expected violence, and that's exactly what we got. You know, they went to the side of the cell, and we seen tables. We seen, I think within like 2 or 3 minutes, we seen CM Punk take a chair shot to the spine. Punk used one of the legs of the table. I think this is a really cool spot. Who went through the table? Or did the table break?
It broke.
It broke. Someone went through the table. I can't remember now.
Both of them went through the table.
And CM Punk grabbed a piece of table leg that obviously fell off when the table broke.
No, the spot in the ring, they brought the table into the ring, and CM Punk
snapped the leg off.
Snapped the leg off. And then they had a spot outside the ring where
both of them went through the table.
Both of them went through the table.
Yeah, Punk used the leg of the table, which we were just talking about, and drove it into his Adam's apple.
Yep.
Yes, he did.
You know, they promised violence, and
they delivered.
They delivered in spectacular fashion.
I agree.
You agree? Man of very few words today, Curtis.
What can I say? There's not many words that need to be explained for this cinema.
Cinema. Is that your word of the week here for this match? Cinema.
Masterpiece.
Masterpiece. Ooh. Are you copying me?
What can I say?
Are you copying me?
What can I say? It's the only right thing and correct thing you've ever said on this podcast.
I didn't even say it on the podcast. I said it on X.
You did say it on the podcast, though. You said it on last week's episode.
Oh, did I?
Of the storyline, because you gave a storyline word of the week.
Ooh. Do you want my word of the week for this?
Go on, then. You can't use masterpiece either.
Damn. Cinema.
That was my first word.
Yeah.
I'm nicking yours, Curtis.
So not only has Jack stole one of my words, you've now stole one of my words.
Do you want my word of the week?
Go on.
I'd say fantastic.
Fantastic. I'm pretty sure I've said that as well.
Pretty much.
Is there any word that you haven't said so far, Curtis?
I don't think I've said unreal.
What do you think of that? One of the most important things in this feud has been this bracelet. It's been this friendship bracelet, which I think is a trend started off by Taylor Swift and her fans, the Swifties.
Ugh.
They would have friendship bracelets where they trade with other Swifties at gigs or whatever.
You are, yeah.
Would he be doing that when the Bad Boy Chiller crew comes to Cardiff in December?
What?
Wristband with BBCC on?
Probably. I mean, I'm getting a VIP pass, so.
Oh. Are you going to trade friendship bracelets with them?
No. Nah, mate.
Sure.
I ain't bloody taking no bracelets. I'm getting a signed bucket hat, me, and a signed poster, and a photo with them.
So, yes, one of the most sticking points around this feud is around this friendship bracelet, which Drew McIntyre, which I believe a fan gifted CM Punk at WWE World just before WrestleMania, or WrestleMania World, whatever it was called. And it's been instrumental in this feud. Drew McIntyre ripped it off his wrists a couple of months ago on Monday Night Raw. Then CM Punk got it back just after he beat him at Bash in Berlin in a strap match. And now, third time round,
it's in pieces.
Drew McIntyre ripped it off CM Punk's wrist. I believe it was the Monday Night Raw after Bash in Berlin. And then he whipped it up, and I believe he put the beads inside CM Punk's mouth.
His mouth, yeah.
And there was a black mystery velvet-looking bag, which for some reason I thought would be thumbtacks.
Yeah,
I've watched AEW too long.
I thought it would be thumbtacks too. I was like, please, just in the ring.
I thought it would be thumbtacks. However, though, it wasn't. It was hundreds of little pieces of beads that would make up this bracelet. And yeah, I think didn't CM Punk hit Drew McIntyre with a GTS onto it?
Onto the pieces, yeah, he did.
He poured on Punk's head. Drew looked to hit Punk with another Claymore, but he crashed and burned with his lower back smashing off the steel steps, which then led to the finish. CM Punk wrapped a steel chain around his knee, and he, very reminiscent of what we just talked about, where Punk had the beads thrown down his throat. He did exactly the same thing to Drew McIntyre and hit a GTS for the 1-2-3, which was the end of the match and seems to be the end of the feud.
It does after 30 minutes and a whole lot of blood.
31 minutes and 25 seconds to be exact, Curtis.
All right, then, be exact.
Yeah. I will be. Well, what can be said? What more can be said that we haven't said so far?
Nothing.
About Hell in a Cell.
Apparently, Drew had to have 15 stitches.
He did.
Because he was
legitimately cut open.
Legitimately massively.
Especially after the toolbox segment.
Yeah. That would kill.
That is apparently why he had to have stitches. That genuinely caught him and bust him open.
It must have been actually made of metal then.
I want to talk to you about two things quickly before we move on to the rest of the card. One is the use of blood. Now, we see in AEW, the use of blood seems to happen at every pay-per-view that they have.
Yeah.
But in WWE, it's a little bit more sporadic. They don't use it as often. They use it in times like this, where there is a blood feud, where blood boils over, where there is bad blood.
I wish they still use more, though.
Coin.
I
think they should have used more.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the use of the blood. Does it add more to the match and the feud for you, or does it kind of...
It adds to it, especially with the name of Bad Blood. It should happen, and there wasn't enough. Like, there was loads coming from Drew because he was legitimately cut open, but I think they should have cut CM Punk open a bit more.
Yeah, especially, I say, on his beard. His beard didn't get many cut around his mouth, I think.
And the other thing I just wanted to pick up with you is Hell in a Cell, the actual match concept. Now, obviously, under Vince, we had the Hell in a Cell premium live event, or pay-per-views, as they were known as back then. But we've seen the likes of Seth Rollins against The Fiend in Hell in a Cell.
Oh, that was... Yeah.
Which...
controversial.
Yes, and kind of... I don't know about you, Jack, and you, Curtis...
Yeah.
Kind of killed the impact of Hell in a Cell a little bit, but under Triple H, he's got rid of the Hell in a Cell
colour
event. He's got rid of the red around
Yeah.
the structure. He's brought it back to the grey metal colour that you'd expect with a steel cage match or whatever. What do you see the impact of Hell in a Cell being nowadays? Do you still see it as being the culmination of a great feud like this, where, you know, things boil over and Hell in a Cell adds to the
I think
match?
As long as it doesn't get used all the time in all the storylines. I think they deserved a Hell in a Cell match. That is the way they should have ended the feud, and I think that's what they've done. They've simultaneously ended the feud between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I think Drew will go on a little bit of a hiatus now.
He'll take a break.
What's next for CM Punk though? What is next? Seth Rollins?
He is.
Well, Seth Rollins will go after Bronson Reed. I know someone was talking to me the other day about kind of saying that Seth might be on the card somewhere, and you've got Drew and Punk, or you've got Cody and Roman in the main event, and what's his reaction going to be to that?
Yeah.
But you didn't see him. But he's going to go after Bronson Reed, as I said. Bronson Reed took him out and cost him a couple of weeks / months of his career.
Which makes sense.
It does. The name I'm going to suggest to you is Gunther. Because after Punk won in Germany, he said that he's past Drew McIntyre, and he's looking at Gunther next for the world title. Now, we'll come on to Gunther and what's next for him when we talk about Triple H's mysterious promo. There wasn't a lot that was said about what he was going to talk about. Yes. We promised a major announcement. And no, this wasn't a Tony Khan style major announcement. This genuinely was something.
And another thing is, it was
big.
It was an Elimination Chamber 2025, which is rumoured to be in the UK.
It is. More on that soon. Birmingham or Manchester. Are the rumoured locations.
Bring it to Wales. Bring it to Wales. Please bring it to Wales.
Please. But yeah, he spoke about kind of before that he wanted to go after Gunther after beating Drew in Germany, and there was a report out saying that was the aim, or that was what they were looking to do towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
So there might be creative plans already in place for maybe it's Survivor Series.
Yeah.
For it to be Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Gunther against CM Punk.
I don't see it happening at Crown Jewel for one reason we'll explain later.
Because it's Crown Jewel and then it's
Survivor
Series, yeah. Crown Jewel, the end of the year.
Crown Jewel is
4 weeks time.
4 weeks.
4 weeks yesterday. And then Survivor Series is in November.
Yeah, that is the 30-minute classic that I'm sure will be rewatched many, many times by many, many people.
I think it's been about 30 minutes of us talking about it.
We just spoke about how do you follow up a 30-minute epic. Well, Nia Jax and Bayley tried to do just that. We've seen, as I mentioned, try as they might.
Tried.
We said last week on the podcast that there was 3 direct SummerSlam rematches, McIntyre Punk being one, Jax and Bayley being the other, and Ripley and Liv Morgan being the third. So this was the first time they've faced each other since SummerSlam. You're shaking your head here, Curtis. Talk to us.
Disappointing match.
Is that your word of the week for this segment?
Disappointing, yes. And another thing that made me disappoint is why did Tiffany Stratton not cash in?
Exactly.
Why did Nia sit up like The Undertaker? Who does she think she is? She sat up like she was The Undertaker. Looked ridiculous. No. Tiffany Stratton needs to cash in on Nia Jax. It should have happened at Bad Blood. I'm not happy. Ruined my night.
You went to sleep in protest, I hear.
I did. I did go to sleep in protest.
So, next matchup, as we just mentioned, rematch on SummerSlam. Bayley going in as the challenger and Nia Jax going in as champion. I mentioned to you, Curtis, in a message saying that the Titantron, and I think you kind of got the wrong kind of vibe of what I was talking about. But when Nia Jax come out, it was just her name flashing up and down.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? The good Titantron, and in my opinion, just adds a little bit to the production and to the almost star power of someone. What do you guys think of?
Yeah, I love
just the basicness of it all.
Personally, I love the way they laid out the stage, with the Tron like all the way along.
It was the same. It's the same type Tron they used for SmackDown and Raw.
Is it? Oh, I thought it was something different because they changed.
It's the same Tron.
Oh, okay.
But they just don't have the flashing drone light things.
Yeah.
But yeah, more so when the wrestlers come out, as I just said, for Nia Jax, it was just her name flashing.
Was it like purple or something?
In purple or green or...
Green, I think it was. Green.
Whatever. Well, what do you... that's just...
As a champion, it looks poor.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit boring to me and a little bit bland.
It's kind of what Nia Jax is, though, let's be fair.
True.
She's a bit basic.
True.
A lot of Nia Jax slander on this podcast today. Bow down and respect your queen, Curtis.
No
She is the queen. She's the queen of the ring. You bow down and you pay your respects.
No.
Nope.
Acknowledge her.
No. There's the only one person I acknowledge, and that is the head of the table. Is the tribal chief, not the only tribal chief, the original tribal chief. Put your ones up for Roman Reigns.
Yes.
Solo Sikoa.
Boo. Boo.
No, Roman Reigns.
So, very... I think it was... How does this match compare to their SummerSlam match, guys? Did you enjoy it more? Did you think it was a better match compared to SummerSlam?
It only got entertaining when Tiffany Stratton come out, and that's my honest opinion. And I'm not trying to be rude, but the match was poor.
I completely agree. It was... I think Bayley performed...
Bayley carried the match
really well, considering how Nia is pretty much... I'd say she's rubbish.
Nia lacks her ability in the ring, I'd say.
To sell moves.
She's not good at selling them. She's not good at taking them. No. She's just not.
Nia dominated early on and used... You might not think she's the best wrestler, but she does use her power and her strength and her size really well.
How can you
she
not?
Does. She does. She works on top really, really well.
Yeah.
But she uses the same moves in all her matches. There's nothing different.
There's no variety. She just uses the same...
Jey Uso just uses super kick after super kick after super kick. Did you not watch the Usos match at WrestleMania?
But that was at WrestleMania.
That was Mania. That was different.
I just don't understand.
I know the super kick is becoming kind of overused, but when it comes to the Usos...
No one will ever beat the super kick.
You have to...
The Usos use.
Yeah.
But another thing is, Nia's the only good thing that Nia's used for is picking up people and slamming them to the floor.
Yeah.
There is nothing else that she is good at.
No other use.
And to have her and to have her as champion,
the
most boringest champion I've ever seen in my life. I think I'd rather Dominic Mysterio as champion. And that's saying something.
That is saying something at the moment. Yes.
So, I'm going to put my feet up, and I'm going to explain how annoyed I am that Tiffany Stratton did not cash in. Why did she not cash in? Why?
Because they're saving it.
Saving it for what?
For what?
For what event?
They're saving it.
What for? WrestleMania?
The Monday after?
If she cashes in on Bloody Monday, I swear to God. Or SmackDown, I swear to God.
It will be on Nia Jax. They are teasing the babyface.
We know it's going to be...
Yeah, because she's been talked down to too much. She's been...
Yeah. So, she came out. Her music hit. And
it's Tiffy time.
It's what, Curtis?
Tiffy time.
I think you messaged me... and in all capital letters, as you would have become accustomed to seeing on our social media pages, you just spammed "It's Tiffy time,"
and then like 2 seconds later, I was
when I was watching it, I was behind you. So when I seen your message saying "It's Tiffy time," she hadn't come out yet. So Tiffany came out. She looked like she was going to turn. Finally, she's been teasing it for a couple of weeks. Nia has been talking down to her, as you rightly said, Jack. Yeah. But when the ref was knocked out, wasn't she? I think it was a ref bump.
She took no, I think it was a
it was a kick.
A kick.
Bayley kick.
Flying elbow.
No, it was a kick.
Nia landed awkward on the ref.
So Bayley kicked
pretty much
Nia.
Flying elbow from Bayley was followed by Jax kicking out at 2 with such venom that Bayley was launched to the floor herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
the ref just got squished.
Nia fell onto the ref because of a kick from Bayley.
Was it a kick?
Yeah, I think so.
It was.
And then it became Tiffy time.
Yes, it did.
Tiffy
I was like, this is the prime time to do it.
As the referee was coming around and realising
Yeah.
that Tiffany Stratton was in the ring about to cash in, very much like the Undertaker's, I think you said,
She
Curtis.
sat up, was like, "Huh?"
Queen Nia sat up, and yes, the cash in that was supposed to happen didn't happen. In your opinion, anyway.
I think he is very annoyed about this.
He is. And
I think
we poked the
he's-
bear a little bit with him.
Yes.
Are you okay there, Curtis? Are you okay?
He's just like, can we talk about another match, please?
Tiffany should have cashed in, but she didn't.
You can hear the frustration in his voice, can't
Yes,
you?
quite clearly.
Nia sat up like the Undertaker.
And caught Tiffany Stratton in the act, which ended up Tiffany, as we've seen a couple of times, cost the Bailey the title.
Yes,
Bailey pushed
it did.
Nia Jax into Tiffany Stratton, crushing her and taking her out the mix. And a roll up almost secured the win for Bailey, but she went for a flying elbow. But Tiffany Stratton recovered from the push into the ropes onto the turnbuckle from Jax. Nia Jax recovered and hit Bailey with the Avalanche Samoan drop before connected with a Bonsai
drop.
Bonsai drop, and
Yeah.
much to Curtis's delight, 1, 2, 3, and
Nia
still.
wins.
You sure you're okay?
Moving swiftly on.
Very swiftly.
Curtis,
Yes.
Jack, what's the word of the week for this?
Awful. The match, anyway. I'd personally say.
Curtis, word of the week is yes.
No, it's not. It is
Just
ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
completely agree.
If this isn't the time where
There is.
she doesn't cash in, question for both of you, starting with you, Jack, when will she cash in?
Ooh. I personally think if they fumbled it now, they are planning something big on Monday. I would like
On
to
Raw?
hope she does cash in as soon as.
But isn't Nia on SmackDown?
Yeah, so we'll do Friday.
Yeah. Friday, sorry. I was just thinking because there's so many big matches coming up for Raw. I was clued.
Gunther versus Sami Zayn being one of them?
Yes.
And sorry, go on.
Yeah, it has to happen.
Sooner
rather than later. If it doesn't happen now, it has to happen soon as the next Friday come in. It just it makes sense.
I mean, I would say it would happen at Crown Jewel, but there's no main title on the line.
Yeah.
But we know of at the moment.
Well, that we know of at the moment, but
We'll come on to that in a second.
Question.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it'll possibly be Survivor Series.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Question: hasn't every women's Money in the Bank cash in gone without they've actually cashed in? Considering the men's
Yes.
has
There's
So-
been no failed
There
cash.
hasn't been a
I
failed
don't,
cash in yet.
not that I know of, and
So
I
I'm
believe
hoping-
I think this was from Fightful stat for the
Yeah.
both of you that
Yeah.
Tiffany Stratton is the second longest
Ooh.
holder
Carmella.
of the women's Money in the Bank briefcase behind Carmella.
Mhm.
What's that to say for the booking of the women's division and the Money in the Bank, women's Money in the Bank contract? That, she's held it for, what would it be now? 4 months, and she's already the second
4.5, I think, coming up.
longest,
Yeah.
I want to say champion, second longest holder of the briefcase.
She needs to cash in. She needs to cash in
As soon
as possible.
as possible.
No cash in or Curtis, so cash in, Tiffany, or there'll be a riot here in the Newport City Radio studios because I can see the look on his face at the moment. Curtis is
seething.
Yes.
Yes.
He. I will not use words to describe the emotions going on that boy's face.
Yes.
Something that he can talk to us about, though, in more glowing light, hopefully. It's match number 3, won't you, Curtis?
Which is...
Are you okay to talk about this one, or are you going to go on another 10-minute rant?
I mean, this is the moment I fell asleep.
So, Jack.
Yes.
Horse Curtis goes nap.
Nap.
Match 3, Finn Balor, Damian Priest. Now, if you see on our social media pages, and when we've uploaded the video to promote this edition of the Are You Ready podcast, the question I asked is this the end of the Judgment Day feud? Now, before we come into this match, I'm going to ask that question. And when I did that, Curtis, you were the man behind the camera.
Yes.
And you were shaking your head at me.
Ooh.
I want to know why.
This is the first solo match that Damian Priest and Finn Balor have had.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Ooh.
Oh no, they had one at SummerSlam, didn't they?
Oh,
no, not
yeah.
SummerSlam.
No.
When was it?
They had one a couple of years ago.
Well, that was a couple of years ago.
That was at least...
I'm on about... This is the first match they've had within the Judgment Day storyline. I feel like that is going to be a kind of... I don't think that's going to be it. I think it's going to be Damian Priest and Finn Balor again. Whether that... I think that will probably happen at Crown Jewel. And possibly maybe the final... of the I think it'll be a trilogy, and I think the final one will be at Survivor Series.
Like Punk McIntyre.
Kind of Punk McIntyre, yes. Could it end in a massive Judgment Day War Games match?
Maybe.
To open the show, and then the Bloodline main event? Could we see that? I think that's a possibility. So... yeah, I don't think this is the end of the storyline between Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Not sure about Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan though, but I do feel that there is another match coming between Finn Balor and Damian Priest.
Yeah, they've had matches back in 2022 before whilst Vince was still in charge.
Well, that was whilst Vince was...
That was an old era though.
So yeah,
we're in a new era.
We're in a...
It may be then. Maybe now.
This is now.
We're talking about now.
This is the new era.
This is now.
I said, are you ready for the second match? That will happen soon, I believe, at Crown Jewel.
Now, going into this, I've seen quite a lot of talk on social media about people weren't necessarily as hyped as they probably should have been.
No.
That's purely because there was no stipulation attached to the match.
It was just a
basic 1-on-1
singles, yeah.
Singles 1-4 match.
What do you guys make of that? Should it have been with a stipulation, considering the almost
Extreme Rules
build up that we've seen? You know, the Judgment Day turning on Damian
Extreme
Priest
Rules.
and very quick to jump in there, Curtis. You seem very strong in your opinion.
I think it would have made the match a bit more better with Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
More violent, more aggressive, possibly more blood for Bad Blood. And it would have kept people hyped through the middle of the show, getting preparation for the main event. Because I'm not going to lie, it seemed like we had a brilliant match in the first opening, which we've said.
Yes.
Then it was Nia and Bayley, which lacked a little bit, and then this match kind of lacked a little bit as well. So
it was like it was on a high,
and then they just went to a real.
Dipped.
Did it dip?
It dipped.
Personally, a little bit until after this match. Then no, it didn't dip.
The question I was going to ask is, did it dip because of how good the first match was?
Yes.
And you had that kind of...
Because like we've said before, nothing will beat that match. And the Nia Jackson-Bayley match was poor.
If something else started off, say they switched the main event to the opening round, would we be sat here now having these same conversations, or would we be saying...
Either way,
it was a good... It simmered along. It was simmering along, and then it boiled over, and it got really bad at the end.
Either way, I think they should have had a stipulation as Extreme Rules. for Finn Balor and Damian Priest, because it would or a street fight.
I was thinking that too. It shouldn't have just been
a singles one fall match.
A bog standard.
It would have made it exciting. They could have made some
a lot more interesting.
Interesting.
Pretty much.
So, the word of the week for this segment is basic.
Okay. Basic.
Basically boring.
Basically boring. I'm sure that's the little title of one of our editions.
Incredibly boring.
Incredibly boring. Same thing.
Different thing.
Jack, what's your word of the week with this?
Standard.
Basic and standard. Okay.
It was a good singles match. Don't get me wrong. It was good, but
it lacked.
It just deserved a step.
Yeah. Is this was this the quality of match that they've been building to over the past couple of weeks?
No. I don't think.
The way that they promoted it, the way that they led to it, we didn't have Demon Finn Balor as well.
No, I was going to say your prediction didn't.
My predictions have been awful.
Yeah.
I said Tiffany was going to cash in. That didn't happen. I said that Demon Finn Balor was going to appear. That didn't happen.
Something I thought Damian Priest did really, really well. Obviously, we know that he's got great size and great advantage over most people. But we knew at some point the rest of the Judgment Day, Carlito and JD McDonough would interfere.
He sent JD flying over those ropes, didn't he?
He did. I thought that...
Bye, Felicia.
Huh?
Oh, he got sent over the ropes. Bye, Felicia. Or as in Jey Uso.
Yeah.
If you hadn't tell Jack that...
Yay.
Yes, I am also a fan.
He loves Jey Uso. So, yeah, as I was just saying, that Damian Priest kept the outside distractions. He managed them really, really well. He looked set to win. Carlito came down to distract the referee. We knew they'd get involved. They always
somehow
do. It's very much. Yeah. And I want to use this comparison. The Bloodline. Especially when Roman was the champion, because you knew at some point the Usos would come down towards the end. You knew that Solo would be involved.
There,
or Heyman would distract the referee and Roman would hit his opponent with a title bout. All the ropes would just mysteriously break in the case of Finn Balor. But, yeah, he dealt with them really well. He wiped everyone out, but Balor seemed to regain the advantage. He hit 2 coup de graces.
I think it was 2 or 3, I think. He
went for another one.
He went up 3, yeah.
Yes, and what I really liked about that, coup de grace seems like a really protected finisher.
Yeah.
Not many people kick out of it. But
very rare.
Yes.
Very
rare.
Much
like the End of Days by Baron Corbin. You know, very protected finisher. Not many people kick out of it. You know, if he hits it, chances are that is going to be it.
Yeah.
But Priest kicked out. He went for another one, and then Priest countered it into a South of Heaven choke slam and picked up the win, which, if you listen to last week's podcast, I believe I predicted.
Yes, you did.
Did you predict that, Curtis?
I said if Finn Balor came out as the Demon Finn Balor would win, but if he didn't, Damian Priest would win.
Damian Priest. I said Finn would win regardless, but obviously they went a different direction. So,
which is why I think it will. It won't. This won't be the last match. I think there will be multiple matches.
Does that excite you?
Not really, but I just think it'll happen. I think it'll end at Survivor Series.
Jack, does that excite you?
If they put a stipulation down, maybe it'll just depend on the stipulation, because they're both spectacular wrestlers.
So that was match 3. Match 4. Wasn't a match. Segment 4 on our notes. We mentioned at the top that Triple H promised a major announcement. I think it was on the kickoff show. He said he had something.
Yes.
Came to the ring. Obviously, Atlanta is well known with WCW. And he mentioned about his career as terrorizing in WCW. And then he announced the WWE's largest gates for an arena show in the US. He said in the post-show press conference, he wanted to clarify it was the biggest gate in the US that they've ever done. Obviously, they've broken
16,000, I think it was.
Yeah, in terms of money, I believe.
Yeah.
I want to say it's in terms of money. But the major announcement, he came out and there was a kind of like a stage
cover,
behind him. Yes.
Yeah.
A title was covered, and on it you could see it said Crown Jewel. What he announced is that there will be champion v champion at Crown Jewel,
but
we will see the WWE champion. So on the men's side, that'd be Cody Rhodes, and the World Heavyweight champion, that would be Gunther, going against each other. On the women's side, at the moment, unless Curtis becomes Booker and Tiffany Stratton cashes in right about now, it will be Nia Jax against Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
And the winner of those two matches will be crowned the 2024 Crown Jewel champion.
With carrying that humongous...
it was massive.
Imagine carrying that thing around. That bloody hurt. It's made of like 24 karat gold in it.
Yeah.
And diamonds and...
rubies and jewels and basically everything in between.
Yes. So, this was a concept. I want to say the word concept. This is something we'd see at Survivor Series under Vince. Because under Vince, when it was 5v5, it was all about brand supremacy. It was about Raw versus SmackDown, and we've seen it once with NXT as well.
Briefly.
Where we would see champion against champion, so the world champion on Raw against the world champion on SmackDown. I remember it being Big E against Roman Reigns, for example. We would see the women's champion on Raw and SmackDown go against each other. We'd see the mid-card title champions go against each other. So at this current day and age, it would be LA Knight against who, Curtis? LA Knight against the Intercontinental Champion being...
Jey Uso. Not just Jey Uso. Main event Jey Uso.
Main event Jey Uso. And also, it would be tag champions going against each other. So the current day and age would be Finn Balor and JD McDonough against
the
Bloodline and the greatest wrestler alive,
Tonga
Loa.
And Tama Tonga.
And obviously Tama Tonga. But who needs Tama Tonga when you got Tonga Loa? So...
who needs Tonga Loa when you've got Jacob Fatu?
Exactly. Yes. I just want to get your thoughts. What do we think of this?
I don't see the point in it because we're in so many great storylines right now. Cody Rhodes is involved with the Bloodline. What's the point in bringing another belt in? To just I understand that they want to split. It's not as if it's a live show where they can get away like a house show. It's a premium live event, premiering in Saudi Arabia.
Is it Riyadh?
Yeah, Riyadh.
Yes, part of Riyadh season.
Riyadh season, yeah.
It's been about Riyadh season for the past 2 years, isn't it? Boxing and everything. Every event I see with the boxing and the wrestling,
it's just
over there is Riyadh season.
Riyadh.
Like, Triple H wasn't the only person.
No,
legend who was there.
There was quite a lot.
There were quite a lot. I'll come on in a couple of seconds' time. He mentioned about the champion against champion, which led to the only champion that wasn't booked on this card, and he's booked to be on Monday Night Raw, that being
the Ring General
Gunther. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we were thinking that Gunther v Sami Zayn would be on Bad Blood again. Another WrestleMania rematch. This time for Gunther's World Heavyweight title. Were you disappointed that it's on Monday Night Raw and not Bad Blood?
I mean,
or was Bad Blood enough that it didn't need a world title match? Which sounds ridiculous in itself, doesn't it, Curtis? And Jack?
Yeah, I feel that Gunther and Sami Zayn should have been on Bad Blood. So, to have no world title in the men's division to be on the line
is a bit
at
weird.
Such a stake of a PLE, I think is poor. But to have it on Raw as well, I disagree with it because that eliminates the chance of any lingering doubts of Sami Zayn winning the title. Which we know won't happen anyway because they've built for Gunther to be world champion for so long and it's finally happened now. But there's someone who Gunther mentioned a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, before we move on to that, Jack, what are your thoughts on that?
You could argue both ways. Obviously, it was missed off the Bad Blood card, but I guess they done it mainly just to get more eyes on Raw the night after. You could argue that it's a big, pretty much statement match for both men to try and get the win over each other. But I do see where Curtis is coming from, having it not been on the card, pretty much.
Yes, so Gunther was in the ring, and ringside was his childhood hero. How nice is it for Gunther to finally meet his hero? He said on a couple of weeks ago, when Bret Hart was on Monday Night Raw, that he wasn't his hero growing up, and his hero was Bill Goldberg. And funnily enough, Bill Goldberg, I believe, was also from Atlanta.
Yes, he
was ringside whilst Gunther was in the ring, and Gunther actually called out Goldberg,
and there was a lot of security there, just turned up out of nowhere.
He said that in fact Goldberg wasn't his favourite wrestler, and that he was just a one-trick pony. And he told Goldberg's son that he hopes he's a better father than he is a professional wrestler. Gunther was just being a menace about
he basically just called out the fact he could not wrestle besides doing a couple of moves, which
a spear and a jackhammer.
Is just crazy when you think about it. But I mean, is he wrong?
Probably not. No. Probably not. No. But Curtis, you just mentioned about Goldberg.
Mm-hmm.
They should have had a fight.
Do you think that we will see this match? What will be interest levels in seeing Goldberg get in the ring in 2024?
Never say never.
True.
Yeah.
But
that's all I'm saying.
Personally, just from a personal standpoint, I it's either a very low 4. It wouldn't be like 10 out of 10. I want to see it. It would be just, I'd be fine if it happened, because I pretty much know the outcome. It wouldn't be...
Yeah, it would be a short match.
Unless they swerve it and go with what they did with Owens the one year, which is probably not what the fans want. Despite
Gunther and Sami Zayn not being a match on this card, Goldberg tried to get in the ring. He climbed over the barricade and was stopped by a large security pool, as you rightly mentioned, Jack. And then whilst Gunther was distracted with Sami Zayn, with Goldberg, Sami Zayn jumped in from behind. Sami Zayn's on the mind, and it was a pull-apart brawl between the two of them as they headed or retreated back towards the entrance ramp. And standing tall in all of this, Triple H was still in the ring and watched all of this mayhem unfold. I don't know why he didn't try and
he was probably intrigued. He was probably intrigued. He was like, ooh,
what's going on here?
Yeah.
And ended up probably like a segment from the late 1990s, early 2000s.
It seems...
in 2024.
It seems I've noticed a pattern with, obviously, every time Goldberg gets involved in major storylines, they always have a security team there. Especially with Lesnar and Goldberg, they had a line literally in the ring, just a line of security guards.
12 future WWE champions is what all I'm saying was in the ring last night. And he raised Goldberg's hand and they were both in the ring. Now, Curtis, bringing you back into the fold as you nearly fall asleep. We're nearly done. We might be an hour into this podcast, but we're nearly there. Match 5, or segment 5, match 4 was the match.
Shark Cage
indeed. The third rematch from SummerSlam that we've seen on this card.
Are you ready?
Actually, before we move on...
because there's a whole...
Before we move on...
Yeah.
I want a word of the week from you two. Crowned your championship. Riyadh season, Saudi Arabia, Crown Jewel coming up in a couple of weeks' time. The moment's going to be Cody Rhodes against Gunther, Liv Morgan against Nia Jax. That's if Tiffany doesn't cash in the meantime.
If.
That's a big if.
Big if, yeah.
Word of the week, Jack. Word of the segment, because I think calling something a word of the week.
The whole segment.
It's the word of the segment. Is that okay with you? I know this is your concept. Word of the segment, okay with you, good sir?
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Intriguing.
Yep.
I guess, because there was a lot that happened.
Curtis.
Pointless.
Ooh.
Care to explain?
Why have we got another title belt, which will probably only appear once?
Yeah.
Which would be at Crown Jewel. For champions already, for the world title, but then it doesn't make sense because they're already in storylines, nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
Why are you adding? Why? Where does it come from? Who thought of that? Seems like something Vince would bloody do.
I think the Riyadh bosses, obviously.
Well, they just want a title, don't they?
At Saudi Arabia is completely different.
But they've got different rules, don't they?
They ask for like crazy stuff to happen. Like obviously they want certain wrestlers there.
Well, they didn't allow women's wrestlers for yonks until
they
finally allowed that.
Obviously, with women, they have to be fully covered and all that stuff. So I mean, it could be kind of explained by that point, as in they want like something intriguing to, just grab the audience. And
but is that going to grab the audience though? Does anyone want Gunther versus Cody Rhodes right now? No.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. They had a really good mini match at the Royal Rumble last year.
But what part? Please explain to me what part of that makes sense. Please explain to me that Cody Rhodes is in a storyline with a Bloodline and Gunther's in a storyline with Sami Zayn. Please explain to me how any of that makes sense.
It does not make sense.
It doesn't.
No. But what is the point of it? What is the point of it, though?
But we'll come on to the point. We'll come on to the point when we get to the Bloodline segment.
I'm not on about the Bloodline stuff a minute, but I'm on about what is the point in them having Gunther versus Cody Rhodes when they're already in segments for a bloody title that didn't need making. What is the point?
One word, and this is my word of the segment: money.
Ooh.
So it's just all for money, point. Just to ruin storylines, just for money.
Money.
It's not bloody Shane McMahon.
Anyway. Match 5, or segment 5, match 4, Dominic Mysterio locked in a shark cage as...
Well, was until he fell out of it.
Until he figured out how to pick the lock. It was Dominic Mysterio against... It was Dominic Mysterio's girlfriend, Liv Morgan, against his ex and his former mommy, Rhea Ripley. Did this live up to, again, as I just mentioned earlier, third SummerSlam rematch? Did this live up to that match? Did this live up to the almost hype?
Certain segments did.
Certain parts of it did.
Like, he didn't use a crowbar, or whatever you said last week? Last week.
Yeah.
To get out of the cage. He just fell out of it. I think he picked the lock, didn't he?
Yes, I'm sure he figured out how to do that when he spent half time behind bars in jail.
Was he hung from his shoelace? Was it his shoelace?
Yeah, it was his shoelace.
I thought he was just handcuffed in there. But yeah. And then obviously Rhea noticed and she grabbed a kendo stick.
Yeah. I can't remember if I put this on the Are You Ready Twitter page, but I was definitely thinking it. I did mean to put it. Do you know what that reminded me of? Dominic Mysterio was a human pinata.
Yes.
He was a human pinata.
That's what Triple H said, didn't he?
I was expecting like candy to just fall out of his pockets and just like...
Just whack him. Which, the match... Ripley worked over Liv Morgan in the opening couple of minutes.
Very well.
Yes.
Actually, yeah.
I can't wait for the Bloodline.
So you did our tweets from last night.
Oh.
Settle a debate between the Are You Ready team. Who do you acknowledge?
And then Liv Morgan managed to fight her way back, applying the half crab to Rhea Ripley's knee. She hit the ribside onto the outside.
She did tag at the knee well. to be fair.
And then Mysterio tried to leave the cage, but got his foot caught on the rope and was simply left dangling from the cage.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like
I was watching it on obviously telly, and
I was just like, is he going to jump?
Yes,
Or-
I thought that's a hell of a distance to jump.
And then I looked at it was a different camera angle, so I was like, nope, he's not going to jump.
I mean, the top rope, jumping from the top rope looks scary enough as this. When we've been to like New Wave and when we were at AEW a couple of weeks ago, that looked quite high up.
Yeah.
But to be a little bit higher up than that, to jump off that into, it wasn't even into the ring. You would jump off onto
Concrete.
it would be the concrete. I think they got a little bit of pattern down.
But it's the landing
It's
still
like piece of
it'd
paper.
kill.
But a couple of weeks ago, if
Thing.
you remember on Raw, Liv Morgan and Finn Balor said that they took care of a little bit of business.
They did indeed.
Mysterious business.
Interesting business.
And when Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley was going and whacking the human pinata, Dominic Mysterio from behind, someone who I haven't seen since Elimination Chamber we were looking at earlier. Raquel Rodriguez returned. This is the first time she's properly returned in a while. I want to say it's about a year or so.
I think. Just over a year.
She had, I want to say it was some kind of skin condition.
Yeah.
I think.
Was it? Oh, I thought she was injured.
I think she had a skin condition. I think. And from out of nowhere, she attacked Ripley right in front of the referee, even though he didn't see it.
And then the funny thing is, the bell went, and then she still put Liv over Rhea just to thought she was going to pin.
Cost a DQ.
Yes.
But then, obviously, the bell went.
What the question I was going to ask now is, just quickly before we move on to the main event, was that a botch?
Ooh.
The DQ.
Yes. Was it supposed to be Liv pins Rhea thanks to the help of Raquel Rodriguez, or was it always supposed to be a disqualification?
I think it could be explained both ways, really. You could say that it was meant to be a DQ to cause like more friction in the storyline. I very highly doubt that it was a botch because they're quite experienced wrestlers. They're not like inexperienced, even though botches do happen often.
They do.
But Tongaloa.
How dare you critique and criticise the best wrestler alive? How dare you? But is this the end of the feud between Liv and Rhea, or do you see Liv moving on to Nia Jax and Rhea going on to Raquel Rodriguez?
See it as the end, yeah. Personally.
Something that is not near the end, but we're a hell of a long way in our main event. Now we spent the first portion of the podcast talking about what would main event and what should have main evented with benefit of hindsight. What did main event was Cody Rhodes and the tribal chief Roman Reigns, or the soon-to-be tribal chief. He doesn't yet have the Ulafala, which actually makes him the tribal chief.
He doesn't need the Ulafala.
Doesn't. He just has an aura about him.
Massive.
But main event, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns in a tag team match against the bloodline of Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. And yes, Cody came to the ring and I believe a
mask, some form of
high score band that went viral a couple of weeks ago for playing his theme before a football game in America or some kind of sporting game played into the ring, which was that they played to begin with on their own, and then they played over the top of Kingdom, which to me sounded a little bit off.
Yeah, they
didn't sound the best.
They sounded a bit off to me as well. I was watching it and I was like, "Are you sure that's supposed to sound like that?" Or I thought they were like getting mixed up with what they were supposed to be playing, but
it just was off. It was off.
It was off.
It was off.
Yeah,
but then Roman Reigns came to the ring.
with-
The OTC came out with very similar. I think there was a marching band played him to the ring.
It was
It was an orchestra played him to the ring,
Um,
like very similar to what we've seen in WrestleMania 39 with that orchestra. Yeah, as we expected, it began quite slowly, and
the pace gradually got better as it sort of went along.
it did.
Yeah,
And
it was.
hats off to Cody Rhodes. Obviously, he's one of the best wrestlers on this planet. But I thought that he did so well and worked so well for Roman Reigns to get that hot tag halfway through. There were so many occasions where you're like, oh, he's going to get there. He's going to tuck Roman in.
There, I'm like,
He's going to do
like
it.
inches away.
And then
tag.
they'd make a tag and Solo would come in or Jacob would come in and pull him back and hit even more offense on him. And then Roman, when he came into the ring for the first time since WrestleMania 37, 40, sorry, but I like I said, as we always say after premium live events, not much sleep. He
was it 40?
WrestleMania 40.
Yes, it was,
we haven't seen
yeah.
him in the ring since. He looked great in the ring, didn't he?
He looks fantastic. He looks like a bronze god.
I'm sure Curtis will agree with that assessment, won't you? Bronze god for Roman Reigns last night.
He looked like he was putting the work in, pretty much. Unless he disagrees.
I agree.
Yeah.
Good.
And the listeners agree with me.
Yes.
You put a Twitter post out.
I did.
you?
I wanted to get the people's thoughts because
Settle a debate between the Are You Ready team. Who do you acknowledge? Solo Sikoa or Roman Reigns?
This.
And there's only one person who would win.
Solo Sikoa, of course.
80%
Said.
for Roman Reigns.
Okay.
20% for Solo Sikoa. Your winner
Add an extra 10.
By unanimous decision.
by the listener's decision.
And still.
The tribal chief, the only tribal chief, the original tribal chief, Roman Reigns. So, hope that goes well for your plan. Hope that goes well for Solo Sikoa. I can't even say his name.
Sikoa.
That's how shitty he is.
But
If you smell.
ooh, we'll come on to that in a second, Curtis.
Yeah.
I just want to get your thoughts. This is the first time we've seen Roman in the ring as a babyface
Since
2019, early 2020, before COVID, where towards the end Vince made a hash of the booking and booked him really poorly. My mind immediately goes back to when he had dog food poured over him, for example. What did you make of the tribal chief being a babyface now after seeing him as a heel champion for 4+ years?
It's a change because I personally believe he works well as both, but it'll just be interesting to see him as a babyface after this hiatus he's took and see where his direction goes.
Curtis?
Yes.
Roman Reigns is a babyface.
Yes.
Talk to me. How did you think that it went? How did it look? How did it feel?
Aura.
Yeah.
True.
Brilliant.
Do you think that because I had a little bit of concern that this tribal chief gimmick won't work as a babyface. You know, when he's tormenting, saying "acknowledge me" and things like that. I didn't necessarily think it would work in this babyface light.
But it has.
Yeah.
But it has, obviously, at the moment, he's still going after Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline for the Ulu Fala and maybe more after this event, who knows? But, yeah, Cody hit Bionic Elbow and Cody Cutter before Jacob Fatu escaped the Crossroads due to interference from Solo Sikoa. Jacob Fatu then hit Cody with a Samoan drop. And yeah, as I just mentioned to you, Jack, the next 10 minutes working over Cody Rhodes as Roman Reigns stood on the sides helplessly, and then the hot tag was made, and Roman went for a Superman punch. It was blocked. He went for a Samoan spike. Roman blocked the Samoan spike. Mm-hmm. It was a match of lots of blocking and dodging, and yes, and Cody and Jacob Fatu, Curtis, we'll come to you for this. I think you know where I'm going with this. There's always a question of how do you keep Solo Sikoa down? And we've seen different ways of doing it. Not Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu. Cody Rhodes hit him. Did he hit him with a crossroads onto the table?
No.
What did he hit him with onto the table? Firstly?
Splash.
Before the splash.
Ooh.
Before the splash. He hit him with something.
I think it was a kick. Was it a kick?
It might have been a kick. And then with the kick, got him onto the table. He got back up, hit him with another kick. Then he let down on the table. How do you keep a Samoan werewolf down? You get onto the top rope and hit a splash.
Wasn't onto the top rope though.
It was off the
LED post.
The post.
Oh, was it?
Which was even higher, I think.
Yes, it would have been even higher.
And then
that was
bam! And just before he yeeted himself off the LED post, he looked at Roman Reigns.
He gave him a nod.
He said, "You do the rest, my friend."
And then jumped
frog
off.
Splash through the announcement table,
which took out Jacob Fatu and Cody Rhodes
for a while. I think
a good while.
They were,
which then led to
left Roman and Solo in the ring, going at it. Roman connected with a Superman punch. He looked for a spear, but was distracted by
Tama Tonga and Tongaloa,
the tag team champions, which allowed Solo to hit a spear.
Damn it!
Roman did kick out.
He did, yes.
After some taunting, Solo was distracted by a hooded man.
Who was to be revealed?
Mysterious hooded man who
was to be revealed to be Jimmy.
He was written off TV in April.
Finally, in attire very similar, if not the same, to his attire at SummerSlam last year, where he came out and turned heel on his brother, aligning himself.
Didn't he have a bandana on as well?
Yeah.
He had a bandana over his thing, yeah.
We've been talking for months on this podcast, Curtis. When's he back? When is he here? When is he coming? When will we see Jimmy Uso again?
We've finally seen him.
He is back. Seen him.
Since April, when he got written off by the Bloodline, he is back, and he embraced with Roman Reigns.
Hugged him, I think, pretty much.
After the match.
2/4 of the OG Bloodline are back together. We just need Heyman, Uso,
Zayn,
and potentially Sami Zayn.
Potentially, if he doesn't.
If not Cody Rhodes, which
I like. They've obviously picked this as Cody's last
fingers crossed
thing as with the feud.
It would be nice to get him away from it and onto something else, like Gunther or maybe Kevin Owens, but we'll come on to that.
Potentially.
Or even a Curtis. But yeah, Jimmy Uso back as a babyface. The distraction of Jimmy Uso, he distracted Solo Sikoa, allowed Roman Reigns to hit a spear on Solo for the victory, as I mentioned to you earlier, with the Judgment Day stuff, with the distractions. I said very similar to the Bloodline. This was, in a way, very similar to what we would see with the OG Bloodline originally, in my eyes. But yeah, Roman, as we expected Cody and Roman to win, but they finally... They did win, and then Cody crawled back into the ring with the undisputed title belt, obviously following the match. Cody didn't Roman give Cody back the belt because he dropped it?
Yes, he did. And it was a bit tense.
By his side.
He reluctantly handed the title.
Yes, they left the ring walking back and allowed the Bloodline to
attack Cody Rhodes.
Yes. And then Jimmy Uso was kind of like the angel in Roman Reigns' ear.
He was convincing him to go back. Go back.
You're the original tribal chief. This is what you need to do. He turned around, went back, and helped the undisputed champion. And then
Cody lifted the title up, but
Roman Reigns reluctantly handed the title to Cody. As I thought that was it.
Some familiar music.
If you smell
what the Are You Ready podcast
is cooking.
The final boss is returned. The Rock it was expected he would be there. Fightful Select said in the day that he was around the area and the talent expected him to be on the show.
Yeah.
And he you know, when wrestlers make a surprise, as The Rock did last night, you know, sometimes they would come in like a blacked out convertible or a blacked out people carrier, like we've seen very much with AEW, what they were doing, where, you know, you wouldn't see who's in the car.
Yeah.
Until they came out.
You know, they'd have, you know, like a hoodie on them. You wouldn't be able to see who it is backstage or whatever. But apparently The Rock just showed up in a black truck.
It was a truck, yeah.
Came out.
And
come out.
Didn't hide himself to anyone. He knew that The Rock was there.
And he came out.
He just stood there.
Looked at Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns with a cheeky little eyebrow raise, and then signalled 1, 2, 3 on his hand.
I think it was like he went 1, 2, 3, and then he put. I think it was 4.
And then he left.
He just left.
And then he cut a promo on Instagram.
The Final Boss is back. The Instagram promos are back. Legendary promos.
The X promos are back.
X Instagram promos, whatever you want to call it. But yes, he is back. Whether this is just him visiting through for the time being, or whether he's back in the build-up to War Games coming up in a couple of months' time in Vancouver, who knows? Time will tell. But something interesting I just want to pick up before we end this podcast, and it's been a mammoth podcast. I think it's our longest podcast since our WrestleMania podcast. He went 1, 2, 3. WrestleMania 40 was supposed to be Cody, Rock, Roman before the hashtag We Want Cody movement started.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with this.
1.
Roman Reigns. 2.
So 1. Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
2. The Rock.
Reigns.
3.
Roman Reigns.
Solo Sikoa. No, Roman Reigns. WrestleMania 41. Could Cody Rhodes get in the way again?
Las Vegas.
Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns versus The Rock.
In a triple threat match for the undisputed title.
I could see that. I could see that working.
I think that will happen
somehow.
I
don't know how, but they could just do it just
I think it will happen. I think there's a good chance. Well, another thing is it got rumoured, I'm pretty sure it got rumoured by Fightful as well, that Roman Reigns is set to appear in the Royal Rumble next year.
Yes,
for the first time since 2020.
Is he going to win the thing? Yes or no?
I don't think so. I think he'll be eliminated by Jacob Fatu, maybe.
Yeah.
And then that feud will kind of continue on into obviously WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But that's still another 3-4 months away. Where do we think we'll see The Rock next?
Survivor Series.
Raw?
Survivor Series or Raw?
SmackDown or Raw?
Yeah. You don't think that he'll go away again for a couple of weeks? No?
I mean, he'll either be at Raw or
he'll appear at Raw.
He'll appear at some form at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
I believe.
And then the last question to ask on this edition of the Are You Ready podcast is when will Jey Uso reunite with his brother, and do you see that kind of being the next step forward for this Bloodline 2.0 versus OG Bloodline story?
I'd say within the next 2 weeks, I'd like to say.
The problem we've got, though, is he's the Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, yes.
He's the what, Curtis?
The Yeet
Continental Champion.
There you go.
Yeet.
Yeah.
So
is that you acknowledging Jey Uso there? I think we've caught it. Not on video.
He's converted. He's converted.
He's put his hands behind his back. He's under arrest. He's going behind bars like Dominic Mysterio.
So, if you've listened to this hour and a half epic edition
of the
Are You Ready Wrestling podcast, well done to you. It's been a pleasure. As always, thank you, Curtis.
As always,
thank you very much, Jack, on your Are You Ready Wrestling podcast debut. As I say, quick programming note, no podcast next Sunday, so the next time we'll be with you will be 2 weeks' time, which we'll be recording on the 20th of October. So, yes, in the meantime, But in the meantime, keep it pro wrestling, and we will see you on the next edition of the Are You Ready Wrestling podcast.